Good. Let's get to the conference championships and kind of recap these games a bit here. Obviously, the Chiefs and the Bengals went face to face. Chiefs had that game pretty much in the bag. Halftime, 21-10, they were up, and next thing you know, Bengals are putting up 11 in the third. They both put up 3 in the fourth just to tie it and go into overtime at 24-24. And people are like, it was once again one of those things where Patrick Mahomes in the last drive got him down to at least get that field goal, taking to overtime, and then they won the coin toss, and literally Twitter erupted, like we just talked about how Twitter can be. Another overtime game where this game probably gets decided by a high-powered offense that has momentum.
We're talking about overtime rules again this week, if that was the case.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm referring to. It's just we would, and again, our opinions still stand pretty much on playoff overtime. Could use some polish for sure, but it's another example that again your defense has to be there to step up, and they stepped up. The Bengals got pressure on Mahomes, caused him to just kind of quick throw it out on a third and long, last ditch effort kind of deal, and next thing you know, tipped up, picked off, and put the Bengals in good field position. They got themselves in safe field goal position, and McPherson hasn't missed yet. So that game was in the bag when that turnover happened. So, yeah, that proves that defense does matter as well. It's not just – I mean, you can stop momentum.
Yeah. My problem with it is like that. To me, a field goal shouldn't even win it for the Bengals there, in my opinion. Right. That's my thought.
After the Chiefs had a possession?
Yeah, I think so. That's why I'm of the proponent of the half quarter, but that's, we talked about that last week. But yeah, I mean, that's a full team win at that point. Like if you're the Bengals, like, yeah, our defense stepped up, our offense gave us a chance in the game in general, got us back in the game. Defense also stepped up in general in the second half and frustrated Mahomes. And I mean, Mahomes mostly struggled in the second half, I'd say. Bengals adjusted and made some different made some changes, and just, I don't know. It was kind of a weird game overall. Both games were a little weird. But in the end, the Bengals are just the hottest team in football. I mean, that's really the difference. I mean, from probably 3/4 of the way through the year on, they've been the hottest team in football. And they have the belief right now that they can beat anybody. And I wouldn't put it past them. I think the Rams are going to be a favorite, and I'd probably pick the Rams right now. We're not going to talk about the Super Bowl really today, but, I'd probably pick them right now, but it would not surprise me either way. I mean, I think the Bengals are a legitimate football team. Incredible what a hot quarterback with some crazy good receivers and a well-coached defense can do. Like just think about them last year or 2 years ago where they were. Like just garbage. Even last year they were terrible, and this is where they are now.
And even our preseason position rankings, obviously not holy scripture. A lot can change, and a lot of it's not. Yeah. We don't rank heart necessarily, and there's just more variables than that sometimes. And we ranked the Bengals fourth to worst in our preseason position.
Yeah,
rankings.
I think we would make some changes. Burrow would be higher. The receiving, where did we put the receiving group?
I think the receiving was their highest rated. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick.
Which I would put them. They might be number one now.
Let me pull that up here. Preseason rankings for 2021. Here they are.
But remember when we did it, Jamar Chase was a big wild card. He'd struggled in the preseason.
So we ranked Zach Taylor 23rd.
Yeah.
We ranked Joe Burrow 24, but obviously we did not know what we were going to get because he barely played half the season last year.
Burrow might be top 10.
I think if we did a postseason one, that does change a little bit for sure. Quite a bit for sure. Joe Mixon, because it was only Joe Mixon and we didn't have a whole lot of faith in P. Ryan and Evans, they put him down to 21.
They might be not be that much.
12 to 15 still, probably. Maybe 15. I'd probably say 15. There are good running back groups in the league. Wide receivers. Now, this is the surprise. 21. But granted, We just saw Jamar Chase drop every pass in the preseason. T. Higgins also dealt with some drops last year and wasn't super proven. And Tyler Boyd has always been a really good 3 or a really solid 2 in the league. So it's like from there, okay, nobody.
Yep. And now I'd honestly put them, they're in the top 5 easily. Maybe they're maybe number 1.
Yeah, they've proven top 5.
Some of that has to do with Burrow being probably top 10 quarterback. But they might be number 1 receiver.
Uzoma and Wilcox and Sample at tight end, 27.
They're probably higher. Uzoma
probably 24. I still hate their backups. Uzoma's pretty good.
Uzoma's good, but now he's hurt. He's probably not playing the Super Bowl.
O-line, we ranked 24th, which O-line still doesn't look good on paper. And I think they do enough to get by.
Burrow makes them better than they are, probably. But they're better than they were last year. So that
they do have a similar passing scheme to what Tom Brady had with the Patriots, right? They do quick routes, but that's because their wide receivers are so talented they can release well. Yep. So I think that helps. Defensive line, 26, which Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard and Ogunjobi have been really effective. That probably changes. I bet you they're probably 16 to 17.
Yep.
Linebacker, 31st. Which again, Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, not ideal.
No.
Akeem Davis Gaither. Defensive back was their highest ranking we gave them, and that was 17th.
They're probably higher than 17th, even though. No.
Yeah, and then special teams 31st because we didn't know about Evan McPherson. But we also didn't think Kevin Huber's a great. Yeah, McPherson's next year alone.
Been great. So yeah, I think looking back, we got them wrong. If I would just say we got them wrong, mostly the receivers. I don't think we were necessarily out of left field, wrong based off of our observations, but we definitely got it wrong with them. I'll just own up to that when we got it wrong, mostly because I think Burrow, we probably should have known a little better on Burrow. And then maybe their defensive line, the receivers probably could have been higher than they were. Even if they were in the teens somewhere, it would have made more sense.
We were pretty close though on NFC teams. So Bucks, we had first out of all teams on paper. The Packers, we had 5th. And 49ers, we had 8th.
Yeah.
And then Cowboys, we had 12. Rams, we had 13. So we had some pretty solid that were. These are still playoff level teams.
Yep.
Obviously,
we also all picked the Rams to go pretty deep in the playoffs. I think that had to do with Stafford. And,
for the Rams, we can talk about. We might as well just lay out at least.
But we also, we'll hit the Rams, but no one thought Cooper Kupp was going to be Calvin White Calvin Johnson this year. That was insane.
But we already knew that they had Robert Woods, and we thought Van Jefferson was at least pretty good. So some of that changes.
And OBJ makes a difference too.
Yep, and that's gonna. They're not gonna. I don't think they'll be able to keep Woods and OBJ and Kupp together next year with Van Jefferson. So they might have changes coming up there at the position. But at coach, we gave Sean McVay 7th.
That's fair.
Quarterback
seems like the 32nd ranked coach there for a second in this past game.
Yeah.
What was that?
True. Quarterback. I totally agree with that. Quarterback, we ranked Stafford 8th. 26th at running back. We were not very high on Darrell Henderson, and he actually proved a lot of us wrong, especially when we were aware that Cam Akers was going to be out.
That's why we ranked him as low as we did, because Akers was hurt. Now he's back, so that changed.
Yeah, and Henderson's still not back, but they didn't have Sony Michel yet either at that point, so that was the other thing. So 12 was wide receiver.
Which we'd rank that. I would rank them in the top 5 with the 3 they have now. These two teams are the arguments for 1 and 2.
Yeah, especially if the Rams had a healthy Robert Woods for sure.
Yep. Oh, with Woods, they'd be number 1.
Mm-hmm. Which we ranked the Bucks number 1. But they obviously had their own.
They were too. They had their. They just had an insane person playing their. That doesn't help.
Sheesh.
In fact, I think Godwin, in my opinion, got better this year until he got hurt. He was incredible before he got hurt.
Tight end Tyler Higbee, Kendall Blanton. And Bryson Hopkins, 19th.
That's mostly fair still.
I actually thought that was fair at the time. I'm like, I'm not super high on Tyler Higbee, but Stafford is so good with tight ends. He gets them part of the offense. What he did with Hawkinson too, elevated his game. And so I felt like Higbee's game was going to be elevated, and I felt like 19 was a pretty good spot for him. O-line, 21st. I thought that I remember we said, Stafford's going to a worse O-line, but at least he has more weapons.
Yep.
Defensive line, we gave them 7.
Fair.
30th at linebacker. So wow, this Super Bowl was the battle of the bad linebackers, 30th and 31st.
They're probably better than 30th, if we're being honest, but again, they're improved so much by how good their D line is.
Yeah. And then 9 for secondary. And then special teams, we gave 17, which Matt Gay has kind of been hit and missed. So, you're kind of hoping this Super Bowl doesn't come down to a field goal, but obviously we'll preview what we expect next week on that. What did you take from the 49ers Rams game?
The 49ers, the problem with the 49ers is, again, I think they were extremely well coached throughout this whole season. I think Shanahan deserves a lot of praise because, in my opinion, they were so, they're handcuffed by how they have to play because their quarterback is just, Jimmy G is just not, he's just okay. Again, just completely fine, just a very average NFL quarterback. All these other teams that made it this far had elite NFL quarterbacks. Stafford, elite, right? Tom Brady, greatest of all time. Joe Burrow has been elite, right? All these guys are top 10 NFL quarterbacks. Jimmy G is a bottom half NFL quarterback. Easily bottom half. He might even be bottom 10, I would even consider. Starter, if you're starting about starters.
Yeah.
He's just very decent, right? And I think he does well in certain things that they ask him to do. But again, we've always said it was the same thing with Tannehill with the Titans. If you force him to win you the game, it's not going to work. Not going to happen. He's not going to go out there and win you the game. And I think that's kind of my take from it is the 49ers were right there, mostly based off of their defense, their ability, their creativity in the run game, and their creativity on offense in general, just from Shanahan with how he uses Deebo Samuel and Ayuk and, some of those different things that he was able to do. And, and their coaching, I think, is what kept them close. But their downfall, again, was quarterback play. There's a reason they drafted Trey Lance. It's not because, hey, we just need we're grooming him. No, they wanted him to be the guy, this year. If he was going to be ready, they knew they had a good team. And if he was ever ready, maybe he could have taken him over the top, right? He just never got ready. So,
yeah, he certainly has a ceiling, and it's still TBD. But Jimmy G still had one of his best seasons overall. It seems like he never really did anything either to be like, all right, you're out of here, bud. Right. But it came to it, like we talked about even in the preview of this game. If this game came down to a position where the 49ers needed him to go win the game, which is exactly what this game happened, where they gave him 1 minute and 49 seconds with 2 timeouts.
A lot of quarterbacks would dream of that situation. If you gave Tom Brady 1 minute 49 with 2 timeouts, all
you need to do is kick a field goal, really.
You lost the game. As the other team, you already lost. We gave him too much time. Aaron Rodgers, same thing.
Yep.
Stafford, definitely same thing. Those guys, it's a game you lost. If you gave him that.
I know, almost 2 minutes and 1 timeout. That's enough for all the really strong quarterbacks in the league.
I know it doesn't work out all the time, but it seems like for the elite guys, it always works out. You know what I mean? Jimmy G was walking down the field, and I'm going, I don't know. I wasn't. If you were a 49ers fan, you couldn't have been that confident.
Yeah, it's just a tough situation. The way Shanahan had efficiently ran that offense all day, doing enough to what Jimmy G can do. And then obviously Jimmy G just was put under pressure, threw an errant pass. And again, that's what led to that.
He didn't get any help from his offensive line that drive. I'll give him, no one, there were some unblocked defenders coming through, but still, he didn't do enough the whole game in the second half to go win the game either. He needed to be able to make the plays to go win the game, whether it be earlier than that, right, to put it away, or or on that last drive. You can't really put the whole game on that last drive, but Jimmy G was not the quarterback that it's like, yeah, he's going to go win us a game where we need the quarterback to take us to the next level. And he just didn't. So, and I'm not surprised. I think that's kind of what everybody thought he was.
That's kind of his MO. Yeah. Do just enough to keep you in the game, but he's not going to go do a 2-minute crunch.
He's probably not going to be the reason you lost. And I wouldn't even say he was the reason they lost this game, but he's not.
The whole game was drunk. I mean, we talked about it in our group chat. Like it was weird. Two very easily dropped interceptions by Jalen Ramsey and then by Whiskey Tart. Like they're easy.
Yep.
And
so.
Yep. So yeah, next week we will give our Super Bowl preview, and we will also be saving, some of these mock drafts for next week as well. I've got them locked and loaded there at the top.
Yeah, so, maybe we'll have some for sure Harbaugh news next week. I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a lot.
Almost like we're gonna have we might have as soon as tomorrow. I think we'll know for sure yes or no.
I'm relatively certain nearly all but maybe one head coaching position will be filled. And the only reason that one won't be filled is because someone really wants Kevin O'Connell. So
yeah,
that's kind of my thought on that. So maybe they're just waiting it out.
That's fair. So
but yeah, something to look forward to.